Hi, I'm Lady Kieschnick with iCEV, and thank you for joining our Using iCEV Student License panel. We are excited to have Melinda Spohr, Jody Lucas, and Kenzie Parker with us today. Melinda, if you just want to start us off with a little about your school and the classes you teach.
Yeah, sure. Well, my name is Melinda Spohr. I teach in Windsor, Colorado, which is just a little bit north of Denver. We are more of an urban school. We used to be a pretty small town, but we have engulfed into a much larger community. We have about 1,500 students in our high school and about 250 in our program. And this is my 15th, I'm going into my 15th year of teaching. I teach a variety of courses. I start out with an introductory course, Introduction to Agriculture, and then after that I specialize into horticulture, floriculture, food and fiber science, and a wildlife biology class.
Melinda, Jody, do you want to give us an introduction next?
Hi, I'm Jody Lucas. I teach at Fairfax High School in North Hollywood. I'm a business management CTE teacher. I teach entrepreneurship, small business, and also careers. So I use those three business courses with iCEV.
Thank you, Jody. And Kenzie, you want to follow it up with a little bit about what you teach?
Hi, I'm Kenzie Parker. I teach at Deer Park High School, which is kind of right outside Houston, Texas. We are a large high school with about 4,000 students. I teach 3 different floral design classes: Intro to Floral Design 2, and a practicum class of 3rd-year floral students.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being part of our student license panel, and let's just kick it right off. So how do you best implement student licenses in your classroom pre-COVID-19? And then we'll hop into post-COVID-19. But Melinda, do you want to take it away? And then Jody or Kenzie, if you want to add to our comments, do that as well.
Sure. Well, I implement iCEV into my classroom a lot. I absolutely love it. One way that I use it that I really like is in my floriculture class. When I first started teaching floriculture, I had no idea what curriculum to use or what resources to use. And so I immediately, when I saw that curriculum come out, I signed all of my students up in the class for licenses. And we used that as the skeleton frame for the curriculum for the course. And I would go through and I would teach each lesson using the videos and that they provided. And then I would add my own labs based upon ideas that I got from iCEV and other ideas that I got online. But I really used iCEV as my skeleton framework for how to implement that course for the very first time that I'd ever taught anything like that. And then I also, this year, I was super excited when I saw that the wildlife one came out as well. And I'll be teaching that this next year, and I plan to do the same thing. I plan to use that in my class where every student has a license, and we basically take it step by step in the lessons there, me adding as I want to, but using it as our skeleton framework for the entire course.
I'm brand new to iCEV. This is my first year implementing it in my classroom. I too used it as a supplement to my original curriculum, and the students really liked it, that they could work at their own pace. They could take tests quietly. They could take the practice test over and over again until they mastered it. So when I gave the final test, they felt confident that they knew the curriculum. All the great lesson plans that you have in there, again, I can supplement them in with mine that I already have. The students really enjoyed though working on their own and with their own computer. And that was a big help during this COVID-19 epidemic. They had just started, so we got to implement it and they got to use it during that time, which really helped me out because I was struggling figuring out what to do for their courses, but it really came in handy.
I have been using lucky enough to kind of use iCEV for the last several years for my class. With teaching 3 different floral design classes, there's still really only kind of one set of information. So my first year students, we try to take the lessons and spread them out throughout the whole year so that at the end of the year, we are able to take the certification. And then I allow my second and third year students to kind of finish doing some of the projects and the activities that are included. With the amount of lessons that are available, if my intro students did all the activities and did all the projects, we wouldn't be able to finish it throughout the year. So it's good to have lots of different variety in each lesson to kind of reiterate to the second and third year students the things that they learned their first year.
Now, Kinsey, I got a quick question for you, and if the others want to add on to it. After COVID-19 kind of sent everybody home at a distance learning, and we kind of touched base on this, did the strategies change in your classroom of how you presented coursework, how you met with your students online? Did any of those strategies change, or were they kind of the same?
A lot of mine were the same. Our students for the last several years, every kid has had an iPad. So we were able to take kind of what we were doing in class, minus the hands-on projects, and kind of keep going at that pace. Our district only wanted so much time for each class per week. So by assigning the kind of what we did in class would fill up that same amount of time that they were required to do at home each week. So it allowed me to kind of keep doing the same thing, and they were used to how we were turning things in. So there wasn't a delay in them trying to figure out the process for me.
Anyone want to add on that? Or I can go to the next question for Jody. As we talk, Jody, you are a brand new teacher to iCEV. How did you kind of start implementing student licenses into your class? If you can kind of provide some best practices and also provide some guidance for a new teacher to iCEV.
Well, as a new teacher, I had a lot of questions. I was a little bit intimidated when I first opened up the lessons and saw how many of them there were. And then my awesome rep, Maggie McGill, helped me out, and she was always patient with me. She answered all my questions, showed me where to look at for all the online videos that you have that walk me through every question that I might have had. So it was easy for me to start implementing it and getting it up. We use the Southwest Communication course in my capstone classes. The students, we would go through, again, the PowerPoints or the videos. Another thing I would really like to mention is that you also have a little guest speaker under each section where they can see a video about a guest speaker who has a job, whose career is tied into the lesson that we're doing, so that they could also have an idea of what kind of employment they could have with the chapter that we're on. So that was really interesting and different for them. So I implemented it as one of my capstone accreditations. So my students, like I said, 97% of them passed with that. They stay motivated because they like the course.
Awesome. Thank you, Jody. Melinda, this one's for you. You were just talking about how your school district is bringing in this hybrid type learning. Can you explain kind of your thoughts of how you're going to tie hybrid learning with student licenses, how that kind of couples together?
Yes. Well, my school district is talking about going into the fall with some type of hybrid plan where the students are going to attend certain days of the week, and then the other days of the week they'll have online learning. So I really feel like iCEV might be a really good path for me to take with almost all of my classes this year, because it can provide that perfect supplement for students to stay on track, work at their own pace, but also provide me a way to check in on what they're doing, making sure they get done with their assignments. And then the day that I get to meet with them, I can answer any questions. But for this fall, iCEV might be really just my primary mode of teaching them and providing me a nice framework for them to keep track of their assignments and grade their assignments. And it might really alleviate a lot of stress as a teacher of having to constantly lesson plan when the stuff is already there and it's already done, and then I can add as I need to. But for me, I think it will be a perfect situation for blending in-person instruction with also online instruction.
Great, thanks. Jody or Kinsey, do you want to add to blended learning, as that's a kind of a hot word that is kind of getting thrown around in school districts? Do you want to add anything of your techniques going into the new school year?
From what we have heard on what we're going to do is students are going to have the option. They're either going to learn from home or in the classroom if we do get to come back to the classroom. But those students are going to kind of have to watch us teach during their normal class time. So it's going to be able to allow them to kind of watch the video or the PowerPoint from their device versus trying to see it from the screen. So it'll make it easier for them to follow along by allowing them to have their own account, and it'll give them easier access, I believe.
Awesome. My next question is for either of you that would like to answer. How do you get students to engage? How do you get them to log on and, for one, complete their assignments in a timely manner, and then also a professional manner as they're actually taking time and completing the online assessment? So whoever wants to take that one, and then we can pass it to the next person.
For me, it's the hands-on activities. And so I tell the students, okay, we're going to watch this video on how to do this. And then afterwards, we're going to have a lab or an activity that we do. And so I think that they engage in it. They know that they're going to get the framework. They need to listen to the video to find out the steps that they need to take to do a particular floral design. And then they know that they have to complete maybe the notes as they're watching the video, or then I may have them then do a lab afterward, and then they'll finish off with the assessment. So I think that they know that there's a routine to it, and so we always start off by watching the video and engaging in that way, and then afterwards we have a lab and usually an assessment. So I think they're motivated to know that there's a process in it, and they know that they have some fun labs that they can do with it as well that are ingrained already into iCEV that I really like.
I agree with you. They get motivated because we talk about the sections that we show in the PowerPoint or in the videos, and then again, it's all routine. They get to do the activities, they get to do doing their own computer work, and then I see everything. So they know that I keep track of them, and they know that by a certain due date, something is due. So they like that. They like that they, again, can move ahead if they want and practice the tests. And everything's there for them, their notes, everything. It's just so convenient. The iCEV program is wonderful.
When we are doing the videos and those type of activities, I try to assign the worksheet as we're watching the video, because it makes them pay attention as we go, because as some high school kids like to do, they drift off into other things in their minds. And I also try to kind of make sure they become accountable for their assignments. Is they know that I like to keep their dashboard very minimal, and I will remove the lessons once we're done with them. So they know that if they haven't turned in that assignment by whatever the due date is that next day, that assignment's gone. So they learn real quick that if they're not keeping up with their work that's due, that they're not going to be able to see it to be able to turn it in at a later time.
Awesome. Thank you all for your input. I think we got time for one more question, and I'm excited to hear your answers on this question. How do you balance teacher-led instruction with student-paced work? And so I'll just let each of you have the chance to answer that, starting with Melinda, and then we can close after that.
Well, one thing I really like about the curriculum is it gives me still the freedom as a teacher to add in things that I would like to add in myself. And so I will have times where I think it provides a nice mix. So I can go up there and I can go through a PowerPoint with them and then have them go and work independently on their own. Or there can be times where I can lead with a video, or I can lead with some of my own information. So as a teacher, it provides me so much freedom to adapt the lessons of how I want them. So it's not necessarily like I have to stay on a particular schedule or I have to do these particular things. I can add in the things so that I feel I'm adding my own uniqueness as a teacher in as well. And so there's times where, and I think students like to have some time to work on their own. There's, they have their own self. I implement that in there where they can have their own time to work on things. But there's also plenty of time that we can do group work together, and then I can do my teacher-led instruction as well. So I love that it provides me that nice balance that I can add in there however I want to do it as a teacher.
I agree totally with Melinda. It is the freedom that it gives us, the courses, and plus it shows the students who are visual, the different types of learners. It covers everything. I have a lot of students that don't like to work in groups, and that's what we do now is project-based learning. So this gives them the opportunity to work by themselves, to do their computer work, but then it also draws them in as a group when we do the activities that we can work together, but they understand that they're also going to have time to work alone. And again, videos, PowerPoints, all those things, if I choose to open it up to the students, they can see it for that week that they're working on it. But again, like Kinsey said, immediately they know that I'm going to stop it after that week. So if they don't watch it, they don't take notes, and they don't do what they're supposed to do, that video is gone. So when they take a test, it's up to them to have it on their notes.
I really like the idea or the concept that not every lesson is the same. Some we're going to get PowerPoint, some have videos. So the kids have different learning styles, as well as the hands-on activities, the projects. It keeps all the different kids engaged. I have kids that are number one in the class that really like to read things and learn a lot differently than some of the other kids who prefer the hands-on activities. I also like the fact that I can edit some of it. I don't have to show the entire PowerPoint. There may be just key things that I think are important for them at that time. We can come back to it at a later time.
May have lost Kinsey on her final remarks. Are you there now, Kinsey?
I'm here.
Yep, perfect. I think we kind of lost connection. Did you want to add a few more of what you were kind of talking about?
Can y'all still hear me? I just like the fact that I can I don't have to cover all of it. I can kind of take bits and pieces of it. I can edit some of it in some of the PowerPoints to maybe add some more details that are important to something that we're going over at the time. And that was it.
Great. Well, I just want to thank each of you again for joining. And I think this was a great session. Just wanted to add a few things that you can join us for the live Q&A using the link below. And then don't forget to enter your session completion code to receive your points and professional development credit. So Thank you each again, and I truly enjoyed speaking with you today. So thank you so much.